So let's just sit for just a few moments and just come into your own presence. Invite yourself to slow down from the rhythm and the momentum of your day. And now the contemplation of yoga. So I would like us to begin by supporting the pelvic area, and I'm going to just show it with the small bolster. Yeah, and so if you don't have one, just fold up a blanket or towel that mimics this height. Yeah, so I'm not looking to compress it a lot, just in a way very gently, and then we're going to bring the spine into a lateral flexion. But I want to spend some time and explore first. So what we'll do with that small bolster or a blanket or towel that you have folded is to just make sure, the most important thing is just to be certain that you don't sit on the floor and roll over it and put it in the lumbar area. So what you need to do is just elevate the hips and gently relax the back of the pelvis onto this slight bolstering. Yeah, so you can always, make a little room in the filling of this bolster, or you can adjust your towel or blanket, however is appropriate for you. So when I let the legs relax out, I'm feeling something, but it's as much relaxing as it is evoking sensation. I don't want a lot of compression. Yeah. So, and also you make a few adjustments if you're feeling a little pinching in the lower back, just bring your body up a little bit. Yeah, so you're closer to the buttocks than the lumbar spine. So you just can really feel this compression and start to receive it and just begin to feel it. And then just allow the legs. It's nice with this to, even though we're going to move the legs initially, just allow the legs to open a little bit past the hips. If you'd like to bring the arms up over the head, that's nice as well. Or you can just relax them to the side. So one of the great luxuries that we have in opening up this somatic contemplation is that we are in no way in a rush. We have nothing to accomplish, nothing that we're trying to disturb really, but we're opening up space for a contemplative curiosity and a very visceral somatic exploration. So before we laterally flex the spine and evoke more sensation, I'd like to just have a little bit of clarity of what it is we're actually exploring when we say the body, because it's very tempting, to simply start to come into yoga poses I'm working with my body's doing this, my body's feeling this way, without really taking the time to sink in to a deeper and really a more honest place. And that's what I'd like for you to just explore. So what I would like for you to do first is just begin to think about your body. So no shortage, obviously, of thoughts about the body. We're pretty much doing it all day. And then what I would like you to notice, and very clearly notice this, is that these thoughts that you are having about your body are not actually your body. They are thoughts. They are thoughts about the body. Just like if you were to think about your car or to think about a piece of clothing, you would be very clear that you're having thoughts about your car or a piece of clothing. So thinking about your body, thoughts about your body are the thoughts. And so we'll just put that aside. We're going to just, for this exploration, we'll just then take those thoughts about the body and put them aside. And then I would like you to evoke images that you have about your body. And this would be when your eyes are open, this would be seeing a photograph of yourself, seeing yourself in the mirror, this image that you have, yes? And this can be very interesting, the self-images that we have about our body. And again, I'd like you to be clear that these images that you have about your body are not your body. They're images. And then the same thing, let's put them aside. We don't really need them for this exploration. So we've put the thoughts aside, we put the images aside. So now the exploration, as you're softening and feeling inward, is what is the experience of the body without these thoughts, without these images? It's just amorphous, tingling, visceral vibration. So just take some time and just allow yourself to relax into that spaciousness. And then certainly if the thoughts or the images arise, fine, we've already got clear that we're putting them aside. And so just let them go back to where you've put them and stay, if you can, in this inner movement, this inner world that has this sort of vague aliveness about it. And just from this place of this visceral, open, empty spaciousness that you can experience, I would just like to share this reading from Wei Wu Wei. You are already realized. It is critical to understand this. Enlightenment is less a matter of charging forward to achieve something and more one of doing, not doing, of leaning slightly back and silently accepting its constant presence. Once you have done this, go on practicing. Without straining, continually pour the emptiness of your being into the emptiness of existence and drink what comes back, emptiness. And so just something to look for then. So then when we start to move a bit and we start to put the body into these, these shapes, the superficial geometry of the asana, it's very easy to go back to the thoughts of the body and the images of the body. This is a mostly habit, mostly these unconscious patterns that we're all holding. So the invitation is to try to stay in this spaciousness, try to stay in this experience of the body that you can't really define, that you can't really find in a way. It's just energy, it's feeling, it's movement, it's vibration. So with that in mind, before we flex the spine, if you'd like to just bring your knees or one knee at a time or both knees up to the chest and just sway a little bit and ease a little passive motion into the pelvic area. It's such an interesting area, and it's so appropriate to sort of open the exploration from this, these vague nuances, because really pelvis is just a symbolic representation. You cannot find it. The sensations there are so incredibly complex and interwoven. So just feel it. Just feel into this space that is layered. It's a living matrix of collagen fibers and fascia and ligament. And then let's let the legs relax out from here. And make sure you're still in a good place on the pelvis. I'm trying to get in place to show this, but I guess I don't really need to show this because you're lying flat, hopefully on your back. So without bending the knees at all from here, just begin to walk the heels over to the left. Yeah, so knees are straight. You're just using the heels to make a half crescent with the lower part of the body, and then bring the upper part of the body in the same direction without rolling over to the left shoulder. So the right shoulder is on the floor, the legs are straight, and both heels are on the floor. Then this is perfectly fine. If you would like to bring the right arm up over the head and stretch the ribs out, just make sure you put the back of the hand on the floor so the arm isn't hanging in the air. Too much compression in the shoulder for what we want to do. And then in addition, if you would like, you can take that right ankle and cross it over the left ankle. And this will just pull in just a variety of different places. And then just keep relaxing. And in a way, that's really as much imagery as we need. This, what I said earlier, vague nuances. So no need to, start to engage the intellect to try to dissect, but just allow the magnifying glass of ambiguity to deepen into this very, very nuanced experience of being in this this so-called body. If you feel that your teeth are pressing together and there's tension in the tongue and the upper palate, just naturally let your jaw relax. You can move the head if you'd like. If the head is just sort of naturally gone to a place that doesn't feel quite relaxed, you can let the head go from side to side and just find a place where the angle of the upper spine is supportive of what you're feeling down this lateral flexion of the crescent. And one of the things that is really primary to yoga is this idea of holding space for yourself. So you're holding space for your breath, for your sensations, for your internal energy. So we want to be aware of this space. So it's not as if this voice is giving you information and telling you to do something, and then you're trying to apply it. No, in a larger context, I'm holding space for you to hold space for yourself. So you want to notice how you're doing that, so you can actually explore and notice the sensations, notice the breath, notice this internal energy. And this is really the primary focus of yoga. Everything else is really secondary. And from this, when we really start to get comfortable with this quality of holding space for ourselves in this way, then we can start to allow the discomfort to make us more alert instead of make us miserable. So if you find that the discomfort is making you miserable, change something, back off a bit, question, become curious, readjust, rest. Good. So if you have the arm up over the head, let's relax that. If you have the ankles cross, the right ankle over the left, let's relax that. And just walk the heels back and bring the upper body back to a straight spine. Once you've come to a straight spine, again, if you want to bring the knees up to the chest and have a little intuitive movement, or roll hip to hip, whatever feels good here. This is for most of us, this is a very unfamiliar way to flex the spine. We're usually coming forward or back, but the lateral, it can be very interesting, especially if we're elevating the pelvis just a bit, because it just adds elements of the skeleton and the way your muscular patterns are holding. Good. So if you're ready, we can again allow the legs to relax out. So both legs are straight. And let's walk the heels over to the right then, just as far. Once it starts to tug a bit, again, we want to keep the knees straight. We're not bending the knees. We want both heels on the floor. We do not want that left hip to roll up. We want the left hip down. And then ease the upper body over to the right as well. And again, we want to keep that both shoulders on the floor. Bring the arm up over the head if you would like, and cross the left ankle over the right if you would like. And try not to let what I just said slip by. I know sometimes, actually the preference is to be more absorbed in your inner space. I'm not really saying take in everything that I'm saying, but this idea of allowing this discomfort to make you more alert, not miserable, because this is a very, very deep study. And this is sort of the laboratory. This is where we get to really practice this, the nuance of this and what this actually means, because the applications are universal to our life. The applications are universal to our emotional life, our psychological life, and I would also say our spiritual life. That the discomfort, when it starts to contract, when we're involved with any contractive energy, if we can learn how to harness it, if we can learn how to use it as a creative force, then it can make us more alert. It can open up a space of great clarity. If it begins to make us miserable, we've gone a little bit over our edge, and then we tend to project and just project and everything that entails. So be sensitive with whatever you're feeling if it gets uncomfortable. We want to maintain a place of clarity and alertness so we're aware of what's arising. Good. So once again, you can relax that arm. You can uncross the ankles if they're crossed, walk the body back to a straight spine. Again, have some intuitive movement, pull the knees up, roll side to side, whatever feels appropriate. And just be sensitive here, even though I wasn't inviting a lot of compression in the pelvic area. Just notice this relatively mild compression, how you're feeling when you release. And so then you can elevate the hips, you can slide that little bolster out and just either rest flat on your back if you'd like, or if you'd like to roll onto your side, you can do that. So this next thing that we're going to do, I'd like to work into the upper body. It's very tempting in this practice because of the concentration of contraction and tension in the lumbar and the pelvic area and the hips, to class after class only concentrate there. But I'd like to move up into the shoulders and the neck a bit. So just be sensitive on how you're supporting the lower body. The lower body is not the main concern. So I want you to be comfortable in the lower body. The lower body is more for grounding. We're going to more work in the upper body initially. So I'm going to show you some options to do that. And the first one is going to be the most extreme because it will entail also an ankle stretch. So not only will we be cultivating the discomfort in the shoulders and the neck and the sort of the upper thoracic spine, but also in the ankles. Try this if you'd like. And if you're not used to doing ankle stretches consistently, I highly recommend them. The contraction in the ankle and the stiffness of the ankle will not only affect your gait when you're walking and your posture, but it's also allowing consistent contraction up into the knees, blocking the flow of chi, and then up into the hips. So this is a complicated synovial joint, just like all the rest. Just get that little debris off the bottom of my foot there. So if you're able to do this, and again, let the buyer beware, we're going to hold this for some time working on the upper body. So the ankles can get very intense, and you could also, just try this and then back off of it. So I'm going to show this from the side and explain it, but then I'll face front to show what we'll do with the arms. So if you're able to hold this, what I'm doing, I'm taking the big bolster, and of course you could use a series of pillows and blankets to place my knees on. So I've folded my knees back, I've placed the knees on this big bolster. So not so much the shins, it's better for the knees. And then I've arched the feet and I'm on the arch of my feet. And as you can see, the weight of my torso and my hips is right on my ankles, yeah? This, if you're not used to doing it, could be quite agonizing. So make sure you're good with this. And I don't want you to come here because if we're just doing an ankle stretch, then I would suggest to release it periodically if you needed to, but just make a note of that if you want to start stretching your ankles. But this is, I want to hold the position so we can work into the upper body. So if this is not compatible for you, I completely understand. Don't even try it. If not, another thing you can consider then is to just sit on the bolster. So we'll sit on the bolster. So it's, we're still bending the knees back, but obviously we've taken a lot of the compression out. And you could just sit on one bolster, or you could sit on a bunch of blankets or a pillow or two in a blanket, or you could sit on a bolster and something. So what I'm suggesting is we don't need to shy away from the knees. So for me, this is, I could stay here for a long time because I've released the compression by sitting up. So you can sit up as high as you need to release the compression of the knees, and we want to stay here for a while. If indeed this is not working at all with the knees, then what you can do is sit on the bolster and just let the legs relax out. Yeah, so you don't need the secondary thing. You just sit, or you could sit on a few blankets and pillows and let the knees relax out. Yeah. So what I think I'll do is, since I already did the ankle stretch, I'm just going to sit on this bolster and bend my knees back. Okay, good. So hopefully everyone is in that position of something supportive for the lower body, whether you're compressing the ankles or you're just sitting on the bolster so the knees have a little bit of compression, but not too much, yeah? And so I'd like to just do this nice and slowly. And typically when I do these poses, I don't really have an idea. I have a little idea, but I don't alert how long we'll be holding them because we want to go into that sort of body time. But this will be a very specific time. So the more you can hold it, not worry about the time, it won't be open-ended. So you're just wondering. Yeah. So from here, let's just take a nice deep inhale and bring the arms up over the head. And then just very slowly, we'll bring the right arm under the left arm and twist at the elbows. So right under left, twisting at the elbows. And then if you can hold on to something, if the shoulders are really tight and you can't hold on to anything, that's fine. If you could grab the thumb, you could grab the thumb. If you could interlock the fingers or just hold on to something, that's fine too. So right arm is under left, twisting at the elbows. Take an inhale and just bring the body up, the arms up a bit. And then on the exhalation, start to come in and down. We're not coming forward towards the floor. We're compressing inward to bring the elbows towards the lower belly. Let the head relax down. Make sure you're breathing. Try not to come too deep. Again, that the discomfort is making you miserable. Again, we want the discomfort to allow us to be alert and clear. So it's the time that really makes the difference here, because this, the collagen is really it's the microstructure of the fascia itself that weaves into ligaments and muscle. So we're very, very mindfully and consciously compressing into this microstructure so it can start to enliven and hydrate and open and release. And again, just as I mentioned in the pelvic area, there's such an incredible variety of sensations that we can't possibly locate them. So what I'm suggesting is continually to go back where we take the thoughts about the body, put them aside, they're not necessary. Take the images about the body, take the images you have about your shoulders and your upper spine and your neck, put them aside, and just feel this amorphous tingling, these vague nuances of your body. This is why we don't want to go too deep, because you want to feel and appreciate this sensual lusciousness that is your physical self. And when I say this physical lusciousness, I'm not talking about when you're all dressed up with no place to go. I'm talking about your internal workings, these processes and organs and all of your systems, your blood flow, your circulatory system, your brain, your digestive area. This is all just incredibly sensual and fluid and moving and alive, intelligent and breathing. Good. So let's release this. Come on up. Inhale the arms up. Good. And relax them back down. Good. So before we do the other side, what I would like to do, and if you can see, I'm going to turn around here. I hope you can hear me. And what we're going to do is we're going to take then the right hand, put both arms behind the back, and try to hold on to that left elbow. Yeah. So if you're not able to do this, no worries. If you have a yoga strap, good. If you have a blanket, just take the blanket and hold on to the blanket with the right hand, and with the left hand, just pull it a bit. So you're restricting the right shoulder. Yeah. I'll slide back around. So either pulling that right shoulder with a blanket, or we've been able to hold on to the forearm or the wrist will work. I'm saying the left elbow, and then the hand can either rest back there, the left hand, or if you'd like to put it up onto the right thigh, that is sometimes nice as well. So now you will feel, hopefully, that we have this right shoulder restricted. So no worries if you're not able to hold on, you have the towel to just kind of tug this right shoulder back. And then I would like you to take the left ear with the chin parallel to the floor, at least to begin with, so we're not tucking the chin down. So the bottom of the chin is parallel to the floor, and bring the left ear to the left shoulder and just ease into this. And then I do understand that what tends to happen, and this is a very refined exploration, is that the fascial tightening, so we're contracting the fascial envelopes, if you will, that they tend to create muscular tension. The tendency is to immediately start to move away from that muscular tension. So I'm going to invite you to move the head incredibly slowly so you feel that muscular tension and lean into it a bit. So don't avoid it, but don't force it, but just feel it. And when I speak about muscle, when I speak about fascia, when I speak about the microstructure of the collagen, this is all certainly just symbolic. They're all interconnected and interwoven in the most beautifully complex ways. So we just want to feel that. We're not trying to separate anything out. We're not trying to uh, improve anything, but just really feel the beauty of the body and its resilience. The beauty of your body and its intelligence. Yeah, so you're free to find a place and move into stillness. You're free to move the head in any way that feels intuitive. And then let us then release that left arm. So we'll take the right arm and just kind of shake it out a little bit or have some intuitive movement. We're going to move into the other side. So if you need to change your lower body position, if you need more support, if you need to straighten the legs out, if you need to come off the ankles, this would be the time to do it. Even if you just want to take a little break and give the knees a breather, because it's good to stay on good terms with the knees. Yes, knees are very, very tricky things. These synovial joints. Good. So let's, if you've shaken that right arm out, had some movement with it, let's do the other side. So we're going to inhale the arms up over the head. We're going to allow the left arm now to come under the right, twist at the elbows. Yeah. And then you can just have this if you want open, that's fine. If you're able to hold on to something, the thumb is usually a good place. You can interlock the fingers if you'd like. Then we'll take an inhale breath and bring it just slightly up, just to expand the chest and to breathe. And then on the exhalation, we'll just relax into just the solar plexus and the lower belly by pulling the elbows in. You can relax the head down a bit here if you'd like. You can just feel the sort of the lower belly pressing into the lower spine. And what an incredible gift this practice of discomfort has to offer us. So if we can find a way to stop allowing our discomfort to make us miserable and to make us reactive, then we can start to let it guide us. We can start to be curious as to why it is there in the first place. And this can be just extremely self-powering, because often when we're trying to rid ourselves or suppress our discomfort, we have to open to a whole range of sort of external techniques and therapies. So what a gift to be able to find an equilibrium and an intelligence with our discomfort. So it brings us to clarity, it brings us to a sense of alertness. Then if we want to seek these external therapies, we have a better guide. The discomfort itself is guiding us, not the habits of the mind. Gently breathing, the breath is woven into the body. Don't separate it. Let the breath relax. Don't begin to struggle. If you need to, just have a little bit of withdrawal. Sometimes the body really needs this to feel safe. So, consciously withdrawing just as valuable as the stillness we cultivate, the depth we cultivate. Good. So let's come on up from here. Take a nice deep inhale, release the arms, inhale them up over the head. And let's have a little bit of movement with the arms. And then when you're ready, we'll do the same thing. This time we'll start with the left hand. We'll bring it around to the lower back. And again, if you're not able to hold on to the wrist or the forearm, then just use a towel to just restrict this left shoulder. If you're able to hold on to the right elbow, that's where we're ultimately headed. You can leave the hand back there, or you could take the hand and put it onto the right thigh. Then allow the bottom of the chin to be parallel to the floor, and just bring the right ear to the right shoulder. And we'll just stay here for a bit before I invite you to move. And no need to give the tension a name. Even tension is a name, but I have to communicate. We have the opportunity to explore the tension as energy. What's most primary to your existence, what's most primary to your aliveness, is the flow of energy through your cells and your joints and your organs and your brain. So when we are invited to put thoughts about the tension and images about the tension body aside, we just go into this visceral presence. And then if you'd like to start to have some movement, just as slowly as possible, just feeling these pulsations and this density just as energy. And it can feel so liberating, and it can foster such an intimacy with the body when we don't have to label it. Because once we label it tension, then we go to discomfort, then we go to good and bad. Then we want to diagnose it, and we want to take an aspirin, and we want to take a nap. So my recommendation is just stay with the energy. Good. So we can now release this and release the hold on that right elbow. And again, we'll have some intuitive movement of the arms. If you have been bending your knees all this time and they will unbend, then please unbend them. Yes, maybe even a hallelujah, or at least a ay 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 or something if the knees are unbending. And then just have any intuitive movement you would like. Instead of going to a rest now, we're going to continue into the upper body. So, because I just like to kind of address it as a whole here. So, but just have some movement, whatever feels like you need to release and let this chi distribute evenly before we come more into the mid back. And I'll just show both methods because I know everyone doesn't have the large bolster. But if you do have the large bolster, we can use that. And this is lovely. And this position alone is worth it just to get yourself one of these bolsters. So let me know. So what we're going to do, I think you can see me there. If you have the large bolster, we're going to put it so we're going to sit on one end of it. So we're going to sit on one end of it. So the other end is going to place right in the shoulder blades. Yeah, those little bony places there. So we'll sit over the length of the bolster. And what I would like to do for this, especially since what we were just doing, is first of all, bring the back of the head on the floor. And if you want a little blanket for that, that's fine. Bring the back of the head on the floor. And then with the feet still on the floor, shimmy down a little bit more so the shoulders come to the floor. This is going to go a little bit below the scapula. And they don't have to touch, but just bring them closer than we normally would. And let the legs open wide so this will be stable and it'll kind of pull a little bit in the hips. And the arms can just relax wherever they will be. So that's if you have the large bolster. If you do not have the large bolster, then take a nice hefty blanket and fold it into as small a square as you can. So I say hefty. If the blanket's not hefty, you could maybe add something to it. But as you can see, I'm trying to have the blanket be the approximate height of the big bolster. And then we're going to place it in the same place. So it's very, very similar. Yep. So you take the big blanket that you see that I just folded, and we'll keep the feet on the floor and place that again a bit at or a little below the scapula. Let the upper body come down. Yeah. So I have to adjust here. It's a little too deep. Don't go too low that it starts to tweak the lower back, however. Keep it mid, upper spine, anywhere between the scapula and the lower thoracic spine. And then the same thing. Yeah. Again, if you need a little something for your head, that would be fine. very, very slowly go into the detail of the texture of your experience. These places of density do not have names. They do not have definitions. The opportunity is to explore your body as this layered, textured experience. And we move into it very slowly. At its essence, really, this yoga is it's developing a great sensitivity, a great subtlety beyond our interpretations. So our interpretations can only take us so far. In a way, our interpretations are like our map, sometimes useful, but the sensitivity and the subtlety allow us to go into this open-ended uh, place that's beyond. It's what we're discovering that's beyond interpretations. So I'd like you to begin to breathe slowly, certainly, but a little bit deeper. And I would like you to inhale first into your lower belly, and then let that same breath fill up the solar plexus, and then finally fill up the chest area. So really slow and really full, and then just let the exhale release all of it. And then again, we slowly, like if we're blowing up a balloon in the lower belly, let it relax and let it fill up. Let that same breath expand the sternum area, the solar plexus, and continue to the upper chest. We're breathing the whole torso, and the exhalation allows it just to relax. And just if you're able to do this on your own, again, not forcing it, just with a sense of fullness and a sense of exploring your own individual lung capacity. So we're far from that shallow upper chest breath, the inhalation down low, in the mid, in the upper, full, right to the edge of our range of motion, and let the exhale empty, wash out, relax, release. And I don't really even need to tell you how key expanding your lung capacity is, bringing more oxygen into everything. So you can just feel this intuitively. And just feel as if your tissues themselves are breathing, that your brain is filled with light and intelligence, and that your heart is pulsating and vibrating. Your tissues are breathing, your brain is filled with intelligence and light, your heart is pulsating and vibrating. And just for me to be clear, when I say that your brain is filled with intelligence, I'm not talking about accumulated knowledge. I'm talking about the innate intelligence of your body that allows your body to really manage itself. The intelligence that created you, the intelligence that sustains you. This is the intelligence that we want to allow our intuitive awareness to weave into. Certainly this includes our accumulated knowledge, but it also includes a very beautiful place of not knowing and wisdom and open-endedness. And this is all within the cellular structure, within the tissues, within the digestive system. I mean, it's interesting, really, to be in this human body with this brain, because we are actually intelligent beyond what we can comprehend. And none of us have the knowledge to hold the intelligence that we have. It's so beautiful that way. So in a way, it's about letting go. There's an element of surrender and trust. But how do we live with that? How do we allow that intelligence to come out? This is what we would call beauty and creativity and understanding and intuition and love. We would call this pure consciousness, this intelligence of consciousness that is our heartbeat, that is the cells keeping us healthy. And we know that we are conscious. So let's, before we come out of this, if you're able to stay in it a bit longer, just slide your feet up and put the soles of the feet together, if you can do that. And we'll just ease into the hips a little bit here. You can have a little sway in the hips if you would like. If this doesn't feel safe, obviously don't do it, or bring the feet back down. But it's just sometimes nice to, at the end, to ease into another area that may have been responding to this mid-spine tension. Obviously it is. And then whenever you're ready, you can put your feet on the floor and just come out of this in any way that you would like, that it feels safe. The feet on the floor is good. You can roll off of this gently to the side. You could bring the knees up and pull into the lower back a little bit. And then let's take a rest now, since we've sort of been going through the upper body. And again, coming back to that opening invitation where we were just making a simple discernment between thoughts about the body and images about the body, and being able to put them aside and being able to have this more direct somatic experience. So, and that's typically in yoga, when we're talking about the body, we're typically referencing that mental imaging, the thinking imaging. And when we're using the term soma, we're more talking about this inner labyrinth that we really cannot put into words. That is really the information of the intelligence, the system itself. And what that allows us to do, it allows us to set this stage of exploration, which is so simple, but so profound and so beautiful, that the only thing that we're really exploring is what your direct experience is, without all of those layers, without all of that, projecting, without all of that programming. What is your experience? What is it? And not getting trapped in these semantic spider webs of different paths and different teachings and on and on and on. To just have a container, to just use the body to go as deeply and as clearly as you can into your direct experience. Not getting trapped in semantic spiderwebs of different paths and teachings. This is very, very powerful to explore. So please come on up from here. And we'll just sit up. And I just want to show, I know that we have a few new people. So I've been showing this because it can be very helpful for these forward bends. And what I've been explaining is that very often our resistance is twofold in our forward bends. It's certainly the tension in the intrinsic muscles of the lower back, but it's also the way that the pelvis tilts. So if your pelvis is tilting back and you're trying to forward bend, there's a resistance there. So the recommendation is to sit up on the edge of something, not too high and not full on, so then we just maintain that angle, but we sit on the edge of it. So sitting on the edge of it, you can see now my pelvis is tilting forward. Maybe you can't see it, but that's what's happening. Then when I relax those lower back muscles, it's more continuous. Yeah. So use this if you need or you like to sit on that for the forward bend. And then the other consideration, what we're going to do is we're going to simply bring the soles of the feet together and not tight in to tighten up the hips, but in a relaxed way for you. And then have some bolstering prepared. So relaxing the pelvis to tilt forward, relaxing as much as you can the lower back muscles. And then when you start to feel the resistance, then if you need or would like some support, that's why we have the bolsters. Also try to relax the shoulders and the spine and the upper neck as much as possible. So, if we're holding the head and the tension contained in the neck, that's translating to the lower back. So we want to feel that the entire spine is articulating and unwinding here. And then we'll just settle into this forward bend and relax for a bit. This funny thought came to me, at least it was funny to me. just about what I was saying earlier about the power of exploring our direct experience, and not simply in a yoga pose, but just in life. How are we able to become present with the simplicity of life unfolding before us, this sort of unfolding of life, and how to stay present when it's just always changing. Whatever the experience is, it instantaneously is changing. So the tendency then, instead of relaxing back and just enjoying that, we then have all of these, all of these overlays, these, what did I call them? The semantic spider webs, yes? So, and this really, this capacity that we all have to just simply be present with our direct experience, this really is the in yoga what we just call awakening. It's just simple awakening. It's like, this is what's happening. This is the only thing that can be happening, and I can stay with it and I can enjoy it. So what came to me is that this process of awakening in yoga is not a long and winding road. It may be a long, strange trip, but it's not a long and winding road, because the present moment is always right here. Good. So let's come on up from here, please. And just nice and simply, let's extend that right leg out. Let's keep the left leg in. Although if you want to stretch that left leg out, sometimes that's good just to kind of start from neutral. So we'll come up, keep the right leg extended out, or extend it out, bring the left leg, and just place the sole of the left foot anywhere along the inner thigh, the calf, the knee of the right leg, and just come back into the same forward bend with the same recommendations for supporting the weight, for tilting the pelvis, for relaxing the lower back, and just softening in. And this was, precisely what Wei Wu Wei was talking about. You are already realized. It is critical to understand this. Enlightenment is less a matter of charging forward to achieve something, and more one of doing, not doing, of leaning silently back and silently accepting its constant presence. Once you have done this, go on practicing without straining, continually. Pour the emptiness of your being into the emptiness of existence and drink what comes back, emptiness. Just keep going back to noticing. The noticing is real. The noticing is true. There's no need to focus. Just feel. There's no need to focus. Just listen. And just let yourself relax. We're exploring this soma as texture. And allow yourself to get close to the texture. Allow yourself to feel the breath weaving the texture. Good. So let's come on up from here, please. Just roll up. Again, this imagery of articulating the spine, just restacking it, feeling it. And then let's let the left leg extend out and have a little bit of wiggle wobble here is good. And then let's leave the left leg extended in a nice, from a nice relaxed hip. We'll bring the inside of the right foot to the inside of the left leg somewhere. Please feel free to experiment. It does not have to be in a place you think it should be. You know, if you saw this position in a book or you saw me doing it, these are my hips. Let your hips dictate where's best. Use whatever bolstering forward. Really try to relax the lower back. We're not concerned with depth. We're not concerned with aesthetic. Again, just the simplicity and the profound nature of your direct experience. And please do not take my word for this power of direct experience in relation to your exploring your body or in relation to your own awakening. See if you can find anything other than your direct experience. If you can, please let me know. You know, and just like, you know, real spider webs, they can be very sticky and clingy and, you know, intricate patterns. The same thing with these, you know, mental and these semantic spider webs is they can often get so layered and they're so old, and memory evokes memory and evokes memory, and it triggers something that triggers something else, that we're just in this, you know, this sort of vague, murky, virtual reality of the mind. But the beauty of that is even that is your direct experience. So this is the resting back. It's just the resting back from that. It's not necessary to explore what's essential. So yes, we're relaxing the physical body. We're relaxing the breathing. We're relaxing the mind. But also there's a deeper relaxing of the core of your essence. So this is the opportunity, is to just relax as deeply as you can. There's nothing else to do but just soften into your body. And when we really do get clear, we, from this clarity, can begin to understand that really, who knows more about the body than the body? Sometimes the folly of superimposing the imagery of the mind onto the body because we've just received this collection of knowledge, sometimes it actually is folly. So what we're attempting to do is learn the language of the body, to cultivate a trust that the body knows the body, and how to listen to this, this somatic vibration, this somatic depth. And then certainly there is a place for overlapping the accumulation. But if we separate that, if we're looking at the body as something alien and something strange and something foreign to us, we're missing a huge piece to hold healing space for ourselves. We're only fixing things. We're only involved with relative medicine. So to develop a trust with the body, to feel this the way that the body communicates. And often it is through layers of discomfort. So this is why we want the discomfort to allow us a certain alertness, a certain clarity. This is where the intelligence is. If we become miserable or frightened or preoccupied, then it makes that intelligence murky. So it's a very, very unique and personal study. And so how we study this pain, we have to feel safe. We have to feel safe. We have to be able to trust that the body has as much to offer us as any other element of nature. So let's come on up. And let's straighten out that right leg. And let's go right back to where we started from. So let's bring the soles of the feet together. And before you do, let's just take the arms behind the back. If you can interlock the fingers or just bring the hands close and just bring the arms up. So we want to keep the elbows straight. We want to keep the fingers interlocked. And then let's take a few inhale breaths. So first inhale and bring the chin up. Inhale, inhale, and open the mouth wide. Keep the arms up. Stretch the muscles of the face, the jaw muscle, the eyes, and then relax the head back down on the exhale. Try to keep the arms up. And then again, bring the head up. Take a nice deep breath. Open the mouth wide. Jaw, optic nerve, fascia of the face, and then exhale back down, release the arms, and let's come back down into that forward bend. So now the soles of the feet are back together. This is where we started, and this is where we're going to finish this. Nice rounded spine. And certainly, these postures have a very practical aspect to them. And, we do get to enjoy the afterglow, if you will, or the benefits on an ongoing basis, just by this, compressing and releasing. I said earlier that that a collagen fiber is a micro structure of fascia, and it's just an amazingly beautifully complex part of our system, and it's ubiquitous. But these fibers, this fascia contracts and it dehydrates, it misaligns, and it blocks physical and energetic pathways. So just on a practical level, we're stimulating and open the pathways of this aliveness in the body. We're rehydrating right down to the cells and the systems of the body. We're loosening the structural misalignments of bones and joints and these places of density. And we're also just allowing the mind to rest in an inner domain of safety and peace. And this is what we go on. I don't ever, ask anyone to take this practice on faith. We want to feel this directly. And I think it's true of all our practices. I think all our practices are open for, evaluation. And if we're getting benefit and they are informing us and we are growing, yes, we keep doing them. If not, we can readjust or we can replace them. So in relationship to your body, only you know that. So we have these aspects that I'm talking about in terms of maybe we would call it more esoteric, this awakening process, this awakening in relation to the moment. But we also have very visceral, direct experience with the mechanics of the body, the fluid of the body, the flow of the body. And I would say, at least in my experience, is the more my body feels open and less restricted and less discomfort, the more I'm able to feel joy and contemplate awakening and the mystery of the universe and enjoy life. When my body feels constricted, everything seems to feel constricted. So there's a beautiful interplay, there's a beautiful reflection. We're very self-reflective beings of our world. So we want the system to be open and flowing. Good, so let's come on up and roll up. You can stretch your legs out. Let's lie down and let's take a rest. And I do just want to emphasize that, when I talk about this, this awakening, and I'm really sincerely trying to emphasize that it's not something that happens in the future. We cannot awaken tomorrow. We cannot awaken when we've done enough work, when we've prepared. That's what I mean by it's not a long and winding road. And I more and more, and our sort of collective experience right now is really giving me even more reason to contemplate the depth of this, that I believe with all of my heart that awakening to our reality is one of the most important things that we can do, because part of this awakening is an awakening beyond the finite mind, the separate self. It's awakening to our inner sense of beingness, our consciousness, our awareness, that ultimately we all share. So it's going from a contracted state of me, my finite mind, my separate self, to the recognition, when we peel off the layers of these false identifications of, no, I'm consciousness itself, and all of this is just arising and dissolving in this consciousness that I am, but it's the same consciousness that you are. And so I think when we start to awaken to that, by the simple realization of how powerful that is, that we start to treat everything differently. We start to look at each other with different eyes, that we look at each other like, oh yes, you are an eternal being, I am an eternal being. How do we celebrate that? So this is what I mean, to not get caught up in these semantic spider webs of practices and teachings that are putting this off for some place, some distant place, that we're going to have a profound mystical experience, and then we join this elite group. I believe the reality is the awakening is just feeling this presence of this awareness that is accessible to us in every moment. We are aware, and separate that from the objects we've gotten drawn into what we're aware of. And this really is the definition of love. That we've been allured in our culture to think love is this romantic notion, and it may have aspects of it, but real love is to see the other as the self, to see that we're simply one being. Plus, I wanted to get the Beatles and the Grateful Dead into a yoga class. It's not as easy as it sounds, So come on up, please. And I want to get on the big bolster. I kind of want to go back to where we started, but with a little different intensity to it. So either the big bolster, yes, if you have one, or I've compiled some blankets here. I'm actually using 2 blankets and a towel. And once these compress, these are going to be the same height as the big bolster. In this case, this is a case where the big bolster is preferable. So like I said, when before I open the class, if you're on the fence about getting one of these, let me know and I'll get you one. So let me show it with the big bolster. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did with the small bolster. And I'm going to show it this way because I want to show you the thing we're going to do that's a little different with the legs. So we're going to, no, I'll show it this way if you're looking, but we're going to put the bolster side to side, horizontal, hip to hip. We're going to put the feet on the floor, elevate the pelvis up, just like we did on the smaller one, the very first thing we did. And it's going to be the same thing, upper body down, legs out. So this, if you're watching, is in my lower back. You can see this curve, not good. So I'm going to bring it down lower. Better. Pelvis, yeah, not so much lower back. And then what I'm going to do after we settle into that, so this is a really interesting hip opener, is we're going to then just we're going to let one leg extend out. We're going to bring the other leg up and in. So the weight of that leg is pulling that hip down. Yeah. But I'll talk about that when we get there. But just bring your pelvis up on either a pile of blankets, towels, or the big bolster. Upper body's back, legs, let's straighten them out for the moment. And as always, if you're in an interesting place, because obviously we've added the height, and just with the legs extended out, there's a lovely tugging on the psoas, and it's just so complex in there with that and the pelvic and the sacral area. So if you're in an interesting place, please feel free just to leave the legs out. If you want to turn this into an interesting hip opener, let's leave just the left leg extended. And just like that half butterfly pose we did forward, bring the right leg in, and then you'll just feel the weight of that right leg coming off to the right, pulling into that right hip. You could leave it unattended, or if you need something to put under it, a blanket or something to, if it's too much in that right hip, obviously, don't hurt yourself. So this would be the adjustment. And of course, with all of that being said, that really, the depth of yoga is that it is really simply to remind us or awaken within us what we already know. So this is the purpose really of slowing down. This is the purpose of it coming into our own inner presence and seeing if we can make these discernments, certainly not to take it as a psychology or a philosophy, but to see that thinking about the body is not the body. Thinking about an apple is not an apple. And so how we then, I don't even want to say connect with, because we're already that. We're already the awareness that the apple and the thought and the image and the sensation is arising in. And so it's more a relaxing, it's allowing the awareness to be so expansive and so direct. And then seeing that these objective experiences, they come and they go. And then that gives us a ground of being. Our ground of being is our consciousness. Our ground of being is our awareness, is our presence. And so the value of yoga is this level of self-inquiry, and very different from self-improvement. Because the simplicity of it and the sort of the cosmic humor of it is self-improvement. There's no self to improve. Yoga is saying, well, find that self you're so anxious to improve. If you find it, feel free to improve it. But when we rest in awareness and we see the self as an objective experience, no need to improve it. So it's pretty funny, really. So if you have that right leg up, let's relax it out. Yes, let that hip relax. And then if you would like to bring that left leg up, bring it up and in. And again, this is optional, but I guess the whole thing is optional. So just really listen and trust your body. on the the very first virtual class that we did, it seems like a long time ago now, I shared this short quote from a Japanese writer, Haruki Murakami, and I've been thinking about it, so I'd like to share it once again. And once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain: when you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in. The breath is gentle. The breath is rather deep, filling the lower belly, filling the solar plexus, filling the upper chest. The exhalation is lengthy, is emptying. The breath is filling the entire body. Your tissues are breathing. Your eyes are breathing. Your glands are breathing. Your reproductive system is breathing. Your lungs are breathing. And just allow yourself to be absorbed into the breath. And allow that leg to relax out. And then very, very slowly, just start to bring the knees up to the chest. So what we're technically doing is transitioning now into a forward bend from this would be a backward bend. So I'd like you to just play with this for a bit. Let's take the time to do that. So it can be as simple as just bringing the knees up to the chest and having a little tug and a little sway, or it could be as deep as the knees just keep coming up and over, the pelvis comes off the bolster and the knees come back on either side of the head in a fuller forward bend, keeping the knees bent. So just really take some time and just play with the passive motion, with the tension that's built up in the sensation. And again, fascia, muscle, bone, it's all just labeling. The direct sensation is what's alive and vibrating and informing you and really wanting your full attention. And then let's come into Shavasana, if you will. But I would like to just announce that I'm going to do I'm going to share my death meditation with you. So this is corpse pose. And it's just a very simple meditation that I've been doing for a long time. If you have, some certainty, or if you have some beliefs and you're not wanting to share this in your shavasana, then please, you can mute yourself. So that's convenient. Also, what I often do when I bring this meditation into my beingness, I evoke people that have been very close to me that have passed. So I just allow them to be close in this meditation, and sit in great gratitude that I'm still able to breathe and be alive, and that they have not that same opportunity. So again, as within all the sharings and in the yoga, not to take this so literally, but that if it resonates with your vibration, it will. If not, just simply let it pass. And it's just meant really just to evoke whatever we may be holding viscerally, what may be dormant in us around this potent exploration of impermanence. I am going to die. I am open to feeling this simply and directly, whatever it brings up. I am going to die. I do not know when I'm going to die. It could be tonight. It could be tomorrow. It could be far in the future. I do not know when I will die. I do not know how I will die. I do not know how I will die, so I sit comfortably with the randomness of life. And then, if I'm very honest with myself, I do not know for certain what will happen. Possibly as if I simply go to sleep, the light goes out, and the current of consciousness just simply dissolves back into the whole. If this is the case, I won't be there to know, so I relax. If indeed the current of consciousness continues, then I just simply sit quietly, try to relax and slow down the momentum of my karma, the momentum of my desires, the momentum of my samskaras, and just sit as quietly and as still as possible to allow my options to reveal themselves. Sitting with the silence and the stillness of the mystery of not knowing. All things arise and suffer change and pass away. This is their nature. When you know this, you become still. It is easy. Namaste.